The grade cricketer is a Twitter stream. It's about playing cricket at the grade level.
Boys! Get a few today, did you?
To be honest with you, I hate grade cricket.
I went into to play for a team called the name escaped me.
Obviously, sharing's always a big issue for young kids coming into a senior cricket team.
I think it was like a witness league.
A bit of advice to the player. That's all I want.
I refer to the great cricketer here and I'll say, this will do a little bit early.
What a show, what a show, what a show, what a show. What a show we've got today. England have done something. It feels good. The series is over because none of this means anything anymore. There's no context to the series. Is it 3-1? Fuck off. Is it 4-0? Fuck off. It's not 5-0. Fuck off. I'm confused. Barney Ronay is on the show. You have asked and we have delivered. Well, Pez has. I don't really do anything. Nick Larkin is also on the show. This episode is brought to you by Budgie Smuggler. Use the code CHAMP at budgiesmuggler.com.au. As is your want, as is your need. My name is Ian Higgins. Sam Perry sits across from me. And in many ways, I from him. Pez, Omicron is gone. We have the antibodies. We have the immunity.
Do we?
I don't know.
You ask a lot of people. Seems to quite a few varying and unsubstantiated theories on what happens.
I'm playing in the Oz Open, baby.
Yeah.
I'm doing something.
Running
Not doing anything else.
Running around fucking nude, body slides.
Are you storming around?
Mate, storming around, touching, licking poles, everything.
Yeah.
Anything.
Well, Australia were just one pole away from making it 4-0, but alas, here we are.
It's nice to be in person. I just say that.
Yeah,
I'm sitting in this chair, as you say, so hard.
Yeah. You're sitting
in the chair hard.
You're sitting the shit out of that chair.
Oh, fucking oath. And we're playing footsies, and it feels good. And I feel right.
Whee! Okay. Now, England and Australia are embroiled in a test series that they call the Ashes. Do you have any overall... This was a great game of cricket.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed the game of cricket. Bit of rain around. That was a shame, I suppose. No result in the end. But in the last, 2 hours, last hour especially, but all sporting events, when a team is coming home hard and fast, that's when sport gets good. Like, we love a come-from-behind victory. Thorpe and Hall, Freeman, a horse... other
horse.
events.
Yeah. Coming from behind
NASCAR.
hard.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Finally, someone said it. But it was exciting, mate. I felt some things for the first time in the series, basically since the series was over when Stark went around the legs of Rory Burns, who used to open the batting for England.
May well again.
He may well again. They're going to try one more combination, I feel. But it was good. It was good. Sydney was good. Good test match. No result, but England played pretty well for a large part of the game, and Australia also played okay.
Well, it's popular to kind of have the reaction to the reaction or the backlash to the backlash, and it seems to be that most of the reaction to this game is that we're meant to now get on our knees and say Test cricket's great. What sport is so insecure that it needs to remind itself that it's good? Like, I'm just greedy and entitled, so I take it as a given Test cricket is good. I want to live with Test cricket for the rest of my life. There's a reason Test cricket endures from the start. We were just going to get a coffee before. No reason for me to say that, but I'm just setting it up. And we were talking about why...
Bit of fourth wall stuff.
Why... it's sort of not watching the BBL that much, but we will do 5 minutes on it shortly.
Yeah. 5,
if we can get there. Yeah. A couple of dot points from the internet. But 50 over cricket seemed to have had sort of had 40 years in the sun, and now it's a bit like, let's get
40 good years.
Let's get a World Cup going if we can.
Yeah, if we can.
Where's the money? The BBL seems to, or the T20 cricket seems to be about half that in BBL terms.
Yeah.
Test cricket though, it endures. I expect Test cricket to be good. So the game didn't finish and it didn't leave me thinking like, oh, I really love this format, man. I take it as a given. I go to the next step, which is greed about Australia not winning.
Oh, yeah. Villains.
Benign in the fourth innings.
Yep.
Nathan Lyon. Could Sock have done that job? I don't give a fuck. I don't care.
Steve Smith not spinning him.
Hey, Steve Smith, why can't he get it out of the hand? And that's a compliment to those guys.
Yep.
Like, Australian cricket deserves that. It deserves people like me saying, hey, where's the W? I had 3 before that.
Yeah.
I want another one, Daddy.
Where's the George?
Yeah.
Where's the George
Hey,
W?
well done, England, all that sort of shit. Test cricket's great. It
I
reigns,
like
it rules.
No, you're
But
so right, mate. It's insecure because we're now talking about how good Test cricket. It's like the Uber Eats app. Like you have one Uber Eats meal, or for me, 7 a day, and it's like, how was it? Did you enjoy it? Can you tip? Rate the experience. Can you let me fucking eat my burger while I hate myself for a bit?
Test cricket does pay its workers pretty good.
Unlike Uber Eats.
I'm just saying. Have they
There goes that sponsorship.
Some delivery service that probably underpays its workers. I don't know. Sorry.
Let's get into who was good and who was bad. I mean, Usman Khawaja was...
Is that a new segment? I like it.
Sponsored by Uber Eats.
Who was good and who is bad? According to internet idiots.
Usman Khawaja gets man of the match. He played his first test in a minute and he scored 238 runs.
Right. Yeah.
Mate, do you remember Usman's first innings at the SCG, the famous 37 that was, and we thought, oh, we got a player here. And then all those years later, he scores 137. Oh, the autist in me likes that big time. That's 100 more than the first time he
Bit of a lick of the tism there.
Oh,
as we heard on Patreon.
someone said that on Patreon.
I got a bit of a lick of the tism.
Hey, don't we all, brother? That's why we like
We follow
cricket. You see that footage of that bloke solving a Rubik's Cube at the game?
Yeah, so
I
good.
couldn't have even scripted that.
They put Pink Panther music over the top. Okay.
There was also a bloke at the Big Bash the other night. We should say this for the Big Bash segment about what's going on. The bloke holding up the sign being like, I'm here for girlfriends or something.
Yeah.
Wrong sport, man.
I did pitch to you before the show that we just call him live and just call whoever's answering that number and say, how'd it go, brother?
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah. He's obviously a balls deep in an orgy, so he wouldn't be able to pick up the call. But yeah, mate, Khawaja, fuck, he played well. Oh my God. Mate, as soon as he came in, he just looked like well, it's silly. He's obviously a test batter and has been, well, Ponting sat right there, over there, in that seat, the studio seat, and he said, Usman Khawaja has been the best six batters for Australia since he's first played for Australia. I mean, he's proven right because the guy gets 200s. But I think the overriding feeling for a lot of people that very happy for him because he's a very popular player playing at the SCG again, obviously where he grew up in Sydney. He's obviously Queenslander now. But yeah, everyone's really happy for Uzzie.
He's actualised. He seems to, we talk about that in Psychology 101.
Do we?
Yeah, we do. You and I.
That's right.
Personal actualisation. He does seem to be in that place, and you must pick him. And yeah, there's heaps of ways to let's not focus on the present and what he achieved in one game because, as you and I and you in particular have correctly called out, it doesn't matter what happens now. It's about what that means for the future. The paradox being that once you get to that point, it's about what happens after that. That's
right.
It's a Noah's Arcade game. You just can't get past level 1.
That's right.
Keep chucking those quarters in, baby. Hey, yeah. I'm still working out the Khawaja thing a little bit because I think even for guys of our vintage, he was playing grade cricket when we were playing. He was among the guns. He's always had the tools and the weapons for for a class test bat, and actually it's great that he's got 2 tons. His record he's significantly improved off the back of those two as well. So it's nice to see him making good on what he's got. And not that he hadn't before, still averaged 40. It's a great career. But is he going to get a second, third act, whatever you want to fucking call it? I hope so. And I like the way that a lot of the aristocracy of Australian cricket have been saying in the last 2 days on commentary about the delicate question of his selection versus, say, Marcus Harris, or even as some are talking about Travis Head as well for the next test. It seems to be well understood that it might be a bit unfortunate for Marcus Harris, who's making incremental strides, that he has to miss out. But it is test cricket. It's 200s. You can't ignore them. And I think Pat Cummins, and I will paraphrase, at the end of the day's play yesterday, did say you can't look past 200s. And if that's not an instruction to the selectors, then I don't know what is. I think Khawaja will be rewarded, and that's fucking good.
There's lots in Uzzie's career. We're talking about this at one of our dailies. I don't think he gives a fuck about what all this means. I think he's just happy just batting for Australia and scoring hundreds in front of his family, and I presume many friends in the...
Really? You don't think there's something underneath? That's my abiding thing underneath.
That's what I was going to say. That's what I was going to say. At the end of the day's play, he was like, well, I'm resigned to being dropped.
Perfect position.
Oh, he's good at messaging, Uzzie. He's doing the stuff with no, JL and I are good. Exactly. and I'm not sure about that.
Mate, I wrote that on Twitter the other day, and I wish I'd expanded on that. I'd sit down and I
You go on Twitter and span on stuff?
Yeah, exactly. I go to bed and I think about I could have just worked a couple of words there, a few extra laughs,
suffix there.
Yeah, that's right. The point being that in this society in particular, sometimes being generous or humble can be mistaken for weakness. So when Usman Khawaja intelligently says that his relationship with Justin Langer is good, and we do believe him, but at the same time, cricket is a political game. And when he says, I expect to be dropped, because that's what George Bailey said or whatnot, then he's kind of embodying a sort of a humility and collective attitude that should be rewarded. I'm not saying do the opposite of what he says, but that kind of attitude is further evidence for his selection and getting somebody like him into the side. So though he sort of is saying the things that George Bailey had said to him before, it's very clear that he needs to be in the side, really. Yeah. And I think that he will be.
You're getting into some fucking real rare areas where, like, I mean, cricket is a rare game anyway about, like, numbers, and we'll get into some, Cam Green stuff in a second, and Boland, but, like...
Heart stuff.
But, he got dropped after, Gillespie double ton, Brad Hodge,
right.
that kind of areas about, like, guys who have been dropped harshly after succeeding well in Test cricket or whatever. It's hard to talk about Khawaja because he's indelibly linked to Harris now in this setup. So, like, what happens next? So we'll just talk about, like, Marcus Harris, because I agree with you. I think he's playing the best that I've seen him play in Test cricket. The age is a factor, I think, because Khawaja's 35 and then Harris is 29. He'll be 30 in July. I looked it up last night. And Khawaja's just turned 35, I think. Yeah. He's young. He's December.
He's a young 35.
He's December.
He's closer to 34, really.
That's how it works. Harris has more longevity. Does that matter? Has Harris shown you enough at Test level? What does that even mean? Like, not everyone needs to average 50 in Test cricket, but Harris has now played 14 Tests and he averages 26 or something, 25, something like that. Has he shown enough? Like this, he's played some tough series. He's played India twice and he's played England in England. I don't know if you're going to get more of a cash-in summer than this England team in Australia, and he hasn't scored it. He scored 150. For me, like, I don't know. It's just he's by no means a bad player or anything, but I mean, how can you leave Usman out? Even if it would mean Usman batting at the top instead of 5, where he scored his runs and where he bats for Queensland as well. Does he bat? Well, where's he bat for Queensland? 4 for Queensland, I think. I don't know, because Redshaw's batting 5. Anyway, even if that's the case, that Usman has to go to the top. I think the team is just better, and I like Usman in the team just for more experience. I like what that means for the team. I think the team is better. Harris is also a noticeably bad fielder. To sledge him unnecessarily, but I think the team is better, but better for where? Better for, because Usman averages 25 away.
There's a sleeper in the conversation, I think, and that is the return of Will Pucovski. I mean, with a 3-0 series lead, the selectors can afford to be talking about investments and what it means for Asia and what it means down the track. I mean, if you accept that Travis Head has locked number 5 for a while, and I think that's pretty fair after his 100. Travis Head's going to give us other questions down the track, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah.
With the way he bats.
Yeah.
Then there's one spot, really. And that's the opening batting spot for now. And Pucovski's said that he'd like to come back for Pakistan if he can score some runs. And I think Tony Donamaid kind of backed that up. He's got a few Shield games that he can impress with. And don't forget that he did make 40 on the weekend with a taped lid, and that was a weird week. That was a tough wicket as well. That was a welcome back to grade cricket wicket. So don't forget that. Kingston Hawthorn would attack.
They go strong this year.
Really strong.
Yeah, especially after Christmas.
I think so. And
they should, are they?
I actually have not. 10 years ago they were.
Oh, okay.
When I was connected to Victorian Premier Cricket.
Okay.
So sorry.
We get a game.
So, yeah. So he's a sleeper as well. So what they, if Pucovski scores runs, then he's the future. So now we're talking about what does it mean for games down the track. I mean, Usman Khawaja's as good a holding player for the youngster coming through as any. So I do think it comes down to Khawaja and Harris. And, mate, I mean, with how many tests are there in Asia? There's like, is it 3, 3, and 4?
Yeah, so it's 10.
Something like that?
Yeah, I think that's right.
Yeah, you think the Australian batting lineup's going to stay the same through those 10 tests?
I'd say so.
Very surprised if they all hold their positions. So, get them all over there and let them fight to the death.
Cameron Green opening the batting, I like it.
Yeah, mate, he could look
Something like that.
pretty funny. I got a feeling there's a couple of players who we haven't even thought of that'll get games.
Yeah, I reckon there's some laughs to be had this year as well.
Yeah.
All right. Boland.
Yeah.
Still the fucking best ever. He was Australia's best bowler, and
most likely.
England's success in this game, coming back from 4 for 36 in the second innings and in their first innings after conceding 400 to get a draw, phenomenal effort. But after 4 for 36, what happens in the game? Boland goes off the field, and Stark might have in hindsight maybe missed this game. Maybe it's hindsight stuff. I mean, he's the leading wicket taker in the series. He's bowled fantastically well.
He looked tired.
And Cummins has bowled so well this series. I don't know how he's not getting bulk wickets every time he bowls, but he bowled like about 45 minutes of short stuff to Bairstow and Mark Wood at the end, which I thought was really bizarre. I didn't rate it. Seemed a bit England to me. I thought
Crawley towed him up too.
in the second innings, in the fourth innings of the game, he did. But anyway, point being, Boland, Australia's best bowler for the last, probably 2 tests. Wickets deluxe. Looks like he's getting a wicket almost every fucking ball. This is really, that's a great find. Even though he's been doing well in Shield cricket for a while, but I don't think anyone saw this coming, including him.
Nothing will ever beat the MCG for every single thing that it was. The reward for a guy pounding the ball into Junction Oval for 10 years or whatever it was. The Johnny Muller medal, doing it at home, 6 for 7, unbelievable numbers. Nothing will be beaten. Drunk people on the Frankston line just right behind him.
Fuck yeah.
However, if that had been his only test, it always will have come with this idea that it was just this one amazing kind of circumstance that all came together at once. He gets a second test, not saying that it needs to be compared to the first, but what he did was that he showed he's a test quality bowler.
Yeah.
And even more so, it's real now with Scott Boland. Scott Boland is an absolute fucking asset to the Australian side. It's
dangerous for Stark, actually. And it's so harsh again because Stark, again, leading wicket taker, been fantastic this series. But like when Hazelwood is fit, now Hazelwood's actually out for Hobart as well. So Hazelwood's only played 1 game this series.
I know, it's amazing.
Which
still feel like he imposed himself though.
Yeah,
in that
yeah.
game. Yeah, the old the elite.
Because like he did a side, didn't he?
Yeah.
Which doesn't bode well for Stokes, who's just in fucking agony.
Yeah.
Which is obviously what he does. But
you imagine there's some pitches in Asia as well where it's like if there's not a lot of swing about and Stark's radar's not the same as a lot of the other guys. I mean, Boland's going to firm up, as I will too. Just as a leggy option.
Well, they'll probably just play. I mean, if Green plays, they might just play. They're not going to play 3 spinners, but they'll play 2 seamers, Green, and then.
I think that's
Green doesn't play 10 tests this year, does he?
Mate,
in Asia?
Not only does he not play 10 tests, but you can also tell by the way they used him in Adelaide as well. Like they're not going to pencil him in for like 18 plus overs in any innings.
His body's still growing.
Exactly. Now, he might have the 6 years out that Cummins had. So the idea that he's this like replacement for a quick in Asia where you can be out in the dirt and it has to be dirt.
That's right.
For 2 days. I don't think he's going to play that role either. So. Thank God he scored some runs.
There's some numbers going around about his record at the same stage with Steve Waugh, Flintoff, and who else played? And Stokes. And his record after the same amount of games, he's got a better bowling average and a better batting average after, 7 tests or 10 tests or whatever he's played. It's pretty exciting. Like for a guy who I think he's mostly a batter in Shield cricket, but fuck me, he's had an impact with the ball. And have you ever felt safety since Hayden about a gully fielder? Mate, he covers some territory.
It's amazing.
The wingspan on it's like an albatross.
And it's clean. Everything he nabs is clean.
Yep.
As well. So the ball just stops and you actually lose the ball in his mitt.
Yeah.
Fucking just arriving in safety. Oh, so safe. 36.
Let's keep moving. I think I don't know. Carey. Yeah, I don't know. Carey will keep playing games, but he hasn't had a good series. I don't know. Whatever.
Interesting one. It's going to be interesting. He's got to go to. Everything's about going to Asia now, where everything's 30 times harder.
Well, Inglis is in the squad, but
yeah, you don't change your keeper straight up though. You just got to give him some time. And is he keeping up to test level? Well, let's find out. Huh.
Yeah,
I don't know.
England. What was good about them? Quite a bit, actually.
Well, one thing that was good about him, he goes, is that Australians didn't wake up with the taste of English blood in their mouth this morning.
Yeah.
So they got a result. And by that, it's like in footballing terms, they got something from the game. They took something away.
We're talking to Barney Ronay in a moment's time. So he gives a good perspective on it. But Mate, Bairstow was, in many ways, Bairstow was the man of the match in that he saved the game. Like Khawaja sets Australia up, and Khawaja was rightfully the man of the match, don't get me wrong. But without Bairstow's 100 in the second innings and without his 40-odd in the fourth innings, England absolutely capitulate here. Not great news for Ollie Pope, I suspect, who, well, actually, they've got so many injuries for the fifth test match that Ollie Pope might actually play, but he actually kept well, Ollie Pope. But mate, Bairstow, that's some seriously good batting in pretty trying circumstances to save a game for England. And not sure we've seen that before from Johnny Bairstow, saving a game, you know, like, I mean, he's obviously got white ball form, deluxe, shots all around the ground. Mate, he fucking spanked Lyon with Stokes in the first innings, the second innings of the game. Took down Cummins, looked pretty stable, gets a good ball in the fourth innings against Boland, gets caught at silly mid-off, weirdly. But I think it's good news, except they've been on this cycle with Butler and Pope and Bairstow for what seems like 2 decades now.
It's the interesting thing that, and I'm paraphrasing this from like second hand, but Nick Compton made some remarks online apparently, saying that Bairstow was put out by the emergence of Joss Butler, and I know Barney's going to talk about this in a sec because we've already had that conversation. But that is an interesting thing that he was going pretty well in his career, particularly as a keeper as well. And he was essentially he was asked to do something completely different to enable Joss Butler to be the guy. You know, they said Joss Butler was the most talented of the two. But
Interesting.
Yeah, it is interesting. But just on Bairstow, I mean, that was an innings for now, just to enjoy for now. I mean, there's so much written and said about this innings around what it means for him. It's the anniversary of the death of his dad this game, and he's a man who's great to watch, particularly when he's angry, and there's a lot of emotion now with him and stuff. But what about just watching it? I mean, he's a very attractive batsman to watch. Yeah. He's so attractive on the eye. So, mate, great stuff, Bairstow. We're still working. Hey, we're still working on it.
On Butler, I was watching him. I know he's got like a severely broken finger, so he's flying home now. So he's not going to play the last test, and he might be out for a little while. But when he's batting in white ball cricket, he is so still, and his head is the most still I think I've seen in like an international player. There's obviously lots of comparisons, but he's good in white ball cricket, mate. I was watching him in the last like couple of tests. His head is falling so far to like cover and point. He's like, it's getting out. He's getting himself out all the time. Like he's just so susceptible to anything straight. That was Bairstow's problem as well a while ago. He gets bowled a lot. But Joss Butler has got like 4 or 5 ways getting out. In Test cricket, they just seem to be able to exploit that because these guys are so good. But in white ball cricket, his head position is completely different to what it is in Test cricket. It's odd, isn't it? Because you can see the talent with Joss Butler. He's got Test match hundreds, and he's just about saved the game in this Ashes.
It's actually one of the best things about Test cricket, I reckon, mate. Like the way they get Joss Butler out is just to leave point and cover point open, have a couple of slips, and just play across them and go, mate, throw your hands at it. And when he does that that's just how you do it, mate. But like when you
right.
might DM him about that technical issue,
mate, your head's just falling out. Yeah,
I just in white ball cricket, you look like you're still. So just yeah. I'm just eating some corn chips at the moment, but they leave it open.
Yeah,
and with a red ball, and it's loaded up on one side and a couple of catches and no run scoring issues to worry about. He's got, he'll nick one or have an error. And I don't know, I like the difference between white ball and red ball that way.
Zach Crawley has been a great revelation. He looked good. He looked good in the MCG.
Man, I think he's looked good at the crease every time.
I think there's so much frustration for England, I'm sure, in this series about the selections or like decisions they made at the toss or the team sheets or whatever. But Zach Crawley has just looked like the second best batsman that they've got in the 4 innings that he's played, and it's frustrating that like they've now given 8 innings to Hasiba Mead. Like how anyone thought that was going to work in Australia. I mean, talk about a guy who's just going to nick off deluxe. I mean, he's talking about technical stuff. His hands are so far in front of his body, and that works. I think clearly it works very well in Asia, especially because he had a great tour there. Then he sort of went away for a while. Then he scored all these runs in the county championship, but how can you give that many goes to? I'm actually surprised that they dropped him instead of Rory Burns. Rory Burns has got his own stuff, but for me, Rory Burns is a significantly better opening batsman globally than Hasiba Mead. Anyway. Zach Crawley's come in, but he fucking smashed him. He looked really good.
Mate, it was it was a really special innings in the making with Crawley.
Yeah.
People will say, "Oh yeah, but he averaged 10 onto that point or 12 or whatever."
All
Who
good.
cares? Like young guy, and that was like there was something super imperious about it. I really thought he was on his way to like something jaw dropping.
Yeah.
Like, people were making comparisons with Laxman at the SCG in a losing cause, making 160. Like, mate, I was covering it for the Guardian, so watching every ball closely. And sorry to those who've heard me say that already on YouTube and Patreon, but like it was remarkable how much he was smashing everybody. Like, you had to check twice because no England bat had played that way in any test match to this point. Maybe Root a little bit early on, but no one so far in the game as well. I don't even think Khawaja had played with the same fluency. It was on a different planet. It was 77 out of 91 balls, like, and it didn't look streaky. He made anything short. He was fucking mauling guys.
I think it was the first innings people were saying played the shot of the series for England. He pulled Cummins, and it was like, that's fucking alpha.
Played
Good.
a couple of them.
Throw a punch. That's what this series has been missing.
Yeah.
Just some punches.
Yeah. And that's what they did in the first innings with Bairstow and Stokes. Just a little bit of little bit of that kind of stuff. Mate, I thought, like, look, I was sort of joking around about it. It was a good game and England fought hard. It does raise questions, I think, if you're being ultra hard on Australia about again being benign in the fourth innings at the SCG, but just generally speaking, Cummins gave them enough time to bowl them out.
100 overs, yeah.
Yep, 100 overs, and look, I think if you're trying to evaluate a side that wants to be the best, you're allowed to ask a question about Nathan Lyon again there, and just the sense of being able to hit the rough and turn it. It's not to take away from, like, being a good spinner has many, many, many components to it, and he's great at so many of them. But that is one, that's a key part of bowling spin. And it's not necessarily about the figures. It's just about the sense of creating something, there are other guys out there. I'm not saying replace Nathan Lyon, okay? But like, you wonder about another spinner in the fourth innings because we've seen Lyon for so long. You just wonder, and it's greedy. You can't have it all at all costs and times. But mate, someone like Steve O'Keefe there, someone like Mitch Swepson there, I'd love to see it. That's all I'm saying. Yeah.
It's interesting, mate. I think that we saw this last year as well. Couldn't get the 10 weeks against India. Chances created as well. It's had the same thing in the fourth innings. Tough chances sometimes. Steve Smith dropped Bairstow at they got him out about half an hour later, but more time in the game. Marcus Harris dropped Ben Stokes at bat pad there.
There's a run out thing there.
There's a run out.
Have you seen that as a run out there with Carey?
Yeah.
Yeah, so
he
even
thinks
if
it's hitting the stumps.
Even if I know that, but even if he gloves that, there's time.
It's going to be very close.
From the time you glove it to take it, there's a bit of time. He was right next to the stumps.
Here's what. I'm not saying Josh Butler's a better keeper, but what Josh Butler would have done is get in front of the stumps there and do the catch into the stumps thing, and he's probably out then.
Yeah.
It's more concerning that he thought he was going to hit the stumps and he doesn't even glove it.
Yeah. And also just the run out didn't really seem on as well. He almost seemed late to it. Anyway.
But mate, with Nathan Lyon, it's interesting. Like he has probably had a drop off for a couple of years now. But at the same time, you have to say it's incredibly hard to bowl spin in Australia. Like, you look at the statistics, and
he's averaging 23 for the series and all that.
Oh, look, I don't think he's bowled badly at all. But it's greedy stuff, isn't it? But
it's just that's sort of the feather in the cap of spinners. That's what we want. We want the fourth innings thing. Like, when other bowlers start to look a little bit samey and there's no sideways stuff or not a lot of swing or the wicket becomes grubby, and slow. It's sort of when a spinner has to kind of conjure something.
Yeah.
Hey, there's something there. It's okay to talk about. I don't think it's like. I don't think
Smith comes on and looks dangerous straight away.
I don't think Lyon's a sacred cow. If a team wants to be better, it's the same as replacing Marcus Harris. They're a winning team. They like incumbents. You're allowed to improve a team. I'm not calling for Nathan Lyon to be sacked.
Wow,
nor does it matter.
Mate. Wow,
yeah, really clear. But there is something there in a fourth innings. You'd love to see what someone else might be able to do. In fact, someone else, watching Swepson might have confirmed that it's just really fucking hard.
Yeah, that's right.
It just didn't look that likely.
No, it didn't. And I thought as well that Jack Leach actually bowled superbly in the third innings of the game, especially as well. Look, it's a different kind of bowling because Australia were attacking and stuff, but his defensive bowling was not up to scratch in Brisbane when he played, and he obviously then he misses out deliberately because in Adelaide he didn't play. But I thought he bowled really nicely and almost gets a hat trick and almost gets a fifer, but doesn't. Okay, let's get into Hobart. Starts on Friday. The teams: Australia. Who plays? What's your team?
Just want me to go 1 to 11?
Well,
I think Kawaja comes in for Harris. I think that's got to happen.
Yeah.
And Head goes back to 5. There's no change to the batting order, and provided like people are fit. That I think in hindsight they should have rested Stark for the SCG. I mean, you can't make that call as a pundit because you don't know how the guy is pulling up at the time. But it was clear to me that he was pretty tired. But you can't drop Stark for Hobart. It's a pink ball test. It's like dropping Axar Patel at fucking Ahmedabad. I mean, the guy's just absolute. He's just brutally effective with the pink ball. So he's got to play. Cummins plays. How do you drop Scott Boland? And Nathan Lyon. So I mean, you know. What, you're going to drop Boland if Jai Richardson's fit? I mean, I doubt it. Boland played excellently. If he holds his spot for the last game, then he holds it for this game. I want to see Scott Boland with a pink ball in the lights.
He could be fucking anything on that pink ball.
And in case people want to know, no, I mean, Kerry just remains. It's his spot, you know, I think, for a while. Give him a chance.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, England's one's more difficult because we're actually not sure who's going to play at the moment. So Butler's obviously going home. Now, Billings is driven from fucking the Gold Coast to Sydney. Because he got the call. So I think that it's been reported that he is going to get England's 700th Test cap, which is pretty cool.
Long way to drive.
I think
run the drinks again.
Yeah.
I think he said that.
I think Vaughan was the 600th Test cap. So do
you need a Rubik's cube again, or
do something with that, mate. Vaughan, 600. Yeah, mate, who was 625? So be super happy for him. He's been on the show a couple of times, but also just privately, he's just been a wonderful person. Everyone we speak to rates him as a bloke very highly. So it'd be awesome for him
Hope
to
he
get
nicks off
early. I would bump the shit out of him. Yeah.
The old demon head coming out again. Hey, don't mind to go on TV, do you, Bilbo? Good luck. Who am I?
It's funny with him because he's been in like basically every England squad for I think it's been 15 years in a row now. He's been in every single squad and he barely plays. And I know when he was playing for the Thunder, he was excited to play for them because he was saying that he gets valued for them. And you know, even in the IPL, he's with Delhi, but did he actually play any games this last IPL? I don't think he did, but he's such a squad selection. I'm presuming he's just desperate to play cricket, and he's a good player as well. But we talked to Barney in a moment's time about him as well. But that'd be cool for him to play. So I would. Is Stephen Mead actually going to play the last game?
I think they've got to try Crawley and Burns now.
I think so.
Yeah, why not?
Why not? Milan 3, Root 4. I'd keep Root at 4 for this game. Who's your 5 then? If Stokes doesn't play,
what about Bairstow as well? Will Bairstow come up? There's a few guys out.
Yeah, so I think Bairstow, he's got a fucking broken thumb though. I'd be surprised if Stokes plays. I'm not sure why he would. Like he looked in all sorts, and these back-to-back Test matches. He's played every Test. He looks not in his peak fitness to me anyway.
Kind of like having stressies though, isn't it? Like it's a bit of a badge of honor when you become the player that does wince after every ball.
What do you got there, mate? You got a side? Yeah,
it's like every like club team has an older player that's just like, you're like, oh gee, he's a workabout. I mean, I'm not. He's injured and he's carrying the entire nation. Yeah, but it also is nice to be that player as well.
Yeah. What about bowlers? Broad, Anderson. Will they both play? Probably. Wood has to play with a pink ball. Does Ollie Robinson play? Does Leach play? Fuck, I don't know. Maybe
pink ball. They might just go with 4 quicks. I don't know.
They can't drop Broad. He's just taking 5 for Anderson with a pink ball. You think he'd play? Looks fit. Wokes maybe.
I don't know, mate.
Doesn't matter.
Should we listen to some Visceral Minutes?
Yeah, go on.
All right, hang on. We compiled a couple. Thanks for those who submitted. These are all quick. Enjoy.
Underrated part of that last session was Cam Green fielding on his knees like a fucking father playing with his nieces and nephews at Christmas.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I agree.
A couple more here.
Just a quickie this morning. Here you go. 4-0. Fuck off.
You're hearing it everywhere. Let's keep going.
Whichever idiot suggested 4-day Test cricket last year can fuck right off.
What, an American accent?
I like it.
Or Canadian, I don't know. Sorry, I'm wrong. All right, yeah.
North American.
What are they thinking? What are they thinking out there?
I've been happy with a draw since West Brom away, 2016. I've had Cummins declared on an hat trick.
I'll just get it one more time. Sorry for those who missed that. Just get a transcript.
I've been happy with a draw since West Brom away, 2016. I've had Cummins for declaring on an hat trick.
and finally, I think it sums it up.
Welcome to the Ginger Century.
Do you think that? I mean, I think that basically sums up the vibe of people of us. You know, the commoners, the punters out there.
It's a universal experience, universal game.
Ginger Century, 4-0 fuck off.
Yeah,
you know,
Cameron Green on his knees.
Cameron Green's on his
But
knees.
somehow still taller than Kawaja at second slip.
Yeah.
I rate it.
Yeah.
I rate it. Hey, if you're enjoying the dailies we're putting out on YouTube, you can get the audio for that exclusive at Patreon at patreon.com/greatcricketer. You can also get hashtag AskTGC Fridays, which come out every single, what day, Pez?
Friday.
That's correct. And this is what we spoke about on last week's hashtag AskTGC Fridays. Hashtag AskTGC Fridays.
Shit.
Yeah, if I get like one a bit of eye contact from a woman, I mean that'll take me to places that no direct hit run out's ever taken me. And I've always said that.
Yeah, it's weak beat a cuck shit, James. Well done on all your comps and all that sort of shit.
Well done on your 4th grade flag. If you want to know more there, patreon.com/greatcricketer. Now, we were very fortunate to speak to Barney Ronay. And I should just say, what a privilege it is to actually speak to Barney. Many people will know him from other podcasts and perhaps even his journalism, which is his job. But many of you guys have asked for Barney to come on the show after what's happened in these Ashes, and we're very fortunate for him to answer the call one Sunday morning after England defended their honour to secure a 3-0 series result at the moment. So anyway, here he is. Here's Barney.
All right, we've got Barney Ronay, the much-requested Barney Ronay from The Guardian. It's Sunday morning in the UK. He'll have awoken to the news of a heroic draw executed by his beloved England. And, you guys wanted him on, so here he is. Barney, down the camera. Look, in my view, like, no country's able to adopt like a wider range of postures when it comes to post-game emotions. You know, there's no greater literacy than what England can produce. And overnight, your nation gallantly staved off defeat, braving injury and darkness to restore pride. You know, like, what's the abiding view of that achievement for you against the backdrop of a 3-0 scoreline?
Well, it's a kind of confusing. There's so many conflicted noises going on from, the obvious kind of jeering and triumphalism having somehow clung on desperately. But I think what happened here is like nothing was changed. Like, Australia is still a better cricket team than England. England produced this kind of brilliant thing to kind of hang on in fading light on this grubby pitch. But what's happening for me is the voice underneath all of this, the voice of Test cricket is speaking to us. I was trying to imagine who the voice of Test cricket would be. It's probably played by John Hurt, sort of twinkly, kind of leathery, reedy voice. And through all that noise, the voice of Test cricket is speaking to us, saying, if you build it, they will come. The problem here is not the medium. What happened is just this brilliant thing happened, that one of those games where we've seen these before, where everything else stops happening. I mean, what I was really impressed with is how much Australia wanted to win. This doesn't always happen in sport. I watch a lot of different other sports, and people don't always want to win. Australia have already won this series. It's the 5th day. Everyone is exhausted. It's quite easy to let that go. But in that moment, these professional sports people are absolutely lost in the next 30 seconds of what's going to happen in essentially a dead game. But only Test cricket does this. And the idea that this thing isn't good, or that you can't sell it, or you need to put some music over it somehow, or just speed it up or change it. Like, if there's something wrong with that format, then we need to change the humans. The humans are a problem. We need other humans who will appreciate this thing. But I think that's what happened. Test cricket sort of leant back in its bamboo chair, slightly cracking, and said, gather at my feet, and I will tell you what's good. And it's this.
There's obviously been some miscommunication, Barney, because we've actually brought you on to ask if the Southern Brave can do it again. Can they go back to back? That's all I really want to know. No, I want to ask you, but I mean, for me, Johnny Bairstow in this game, that's the best that I've seen him play in white clothing. But is this They can't turn this into a negative. Is this actually a problem? He's played 70 tests. He averages 30. The whole Butler, Bairstow cycle, Ollie Pope replacing him, but he didn't do well. Now Bairstow's back. Is it? Can we believe in Johnny Bairstow now as a white ball player? Is this something to hang the hat on for this tour with Zach Crawley maybe scoring some runs? Milan's done okay. Root and now Bairstow. Is there something there?
I don't know about building a team for the future around Johnny Bairstow, but the Johnny Bairstow, Josh Butler thing tells us loads of things that's wrong with just the way it's been managed. Like, it was really strange. I mean, Johnny Bairstow averages 40 at 7 playing as a wicketkeeper. For some reason, they decided to stop him doing that because they became obsessed with Butler, as he's going to reinvent Test batting and he's got the star power. He's going to be better than Adam Gilchrist. You know, he's going to average over 27, whatever it is they want him to do. And so they mucked around with Johnny Bairstow. Obviously, an angry Johnny Bairstow is by far the best Johnny Bairstow. So there's been kind of peaks of, but no, it was really nice to see him doing well. He's kind of so utterly committed to this thing. He loves cricket. It's his life. Everything about the game is his life, and it's so raw every time. And he'd keep playing until he was 50 if he could, and just feeling it so painfully like a schoolboy every time. So he's either furiously angry or almost in tears constantly. And it has been delightful to watch him. But, you know, I think the Crawley innings was more... like something you'd think, yeah, there's kind of health there. I thought these were really slick runs, you know. He batted like he was in a hurry. He's going somewhere. They were kind of yuppie runs, Thatcherite runs. He's not saving the game. He's overtaking you, you know, in the fast lane in his Audi. It was totally out of context with the rest of the game. But it was really enjoyable. I wish it just carried on and scored 250 really quickly and urgently. Totally no idea what's going on in the game. I am batting is what's happening. But it was good fun to watch. So there was definitely something there, you know, that I want to see that again.
I agree. I think there was something there with Crawley, and there hasn't been anything there otherwise for England this series. I mean, just because we've got you on, Barney, perhaps, you know, following a good performance from England is not a good time to ask about the deeper existential questions, but I will anyway. You know, you walk to the smorgasbord of factors influencing England's long-term struggle in Australia. You know, what are you picking at as the reasons? That the 100 private schools, you know, short-term careerist sporting administrators drinking at the trough, wet wickets, the format of Test cricket. You know, will England ever win here?
It's really difficult, isn't it? There are so many reasons, and all of them are incredibly compelling. And then you sometimes think, well, what if they just changed a couple of really small things? Maybe just batted first to the gathering, it'd be fine. Well, that would kind of be all right. I know it's very difficult, isn't it? We love a full. I mean, I'm not just root and branch. I'm everything. I'm replow the field, tear down everything. You know, let's grow something different. Let's grow genetically modified, you know, skunk weed. I don't know, whatever. I mean, I actually think the real problem with English cricket is we need to utterly change the ECB, which is a strange organisation. It's been around for 25 years and was born out of the idea that suddenly there were these central contracts and this massive influx of TV money. The counties are far too powerful. What are these, you know, old guys with smoking pipes? Why are they having a say in what's suddenly a really lucrative sport? So it made sense to invent this thing where you have central contracts, you take away the power of the counties. And it worked for a while. So Duncan Fletcher, people in Vodafone shirts, Michael Vaughan's captain, the counties still work. It's already healthy. Kevin Peterson suddenly appears. But it doesn't work anymore. This is not the problem facing the game. England is not the most important thing. How do you deal with franchised cricket? The lack of spread is the problem. And the ECB is not fit for purpose. And all the ideas it comes up with are designed to keep the ECB powerful because it's an organisation based on constant growth and constant, you know, the kind of, you know, neoliberal economics. We must earn more money this year. And if we don't, we have to change something. But cricket's obviously not like that. Cricket's a really difficult, weird, stupid, modernist novel that no one wants to buy. And if you start trying to just obsess about growth, you're going to kill it. So the virtual body is wrong. And we need something that's going to deal with the current problems, which aren't getting Duncan Fletcher in and giving Jimmy Anderson a central contract. That's not what we need to do now. So, yeah, I'm beyond root and branch. I'm just plough everything and build something else.
Or there could be Crawley and Rory Burns opening. Maybe that will be it. We're talking about big changes here, and of course you're right, Barney, about these changes. But I'm sure that the English population back home who've been listening to our commentary, as in not Peasant Eyes commentary, as in the Fox feed commentary, have been enjoying us saying, well, you should change the captaincy. And there's only really about 4 guys in the team who will definitely play every game, and one is Ben Stokes. I mean, is that in any way a feasible idea that if the captain changes, maybe they win a few more games?
Yeah, I mean, it is still possible to be a slightly below par captain on a ship which is sinking. That's still possible. Just because the Titanic's hit the iceberg doesn't mean you tell the band to stop playing, or whatever extended metaphor I'm getting into here. I think, but captaincy, isn't it just? He's been captain for so long. I can't even remember a time when he wasn't captain. Was there cricket when Root wasn't in? I mean, I suppose Cook was also captain for years and not particularly good at it. There's a slight celebrity obsession. There's a keeping Joe Root happy, stopping him going off and doing something else, which is sort of why there is no change. Giving Stokes the captaincy would be a terrible idea. I mean, he's in that period where he's sort of become both of them in like 87 now, hasn't he? He's constantly wincing. If he's not wincing, he's not doing anything. He's in agony constantly. It's such a struggle. And he's only 30. He needs to just try and get back to his physical best. That's all I want for Ben Stokes. I don't want him to be burdened with anything else. It's been so painful watching him, and he sort of leaves everything out there. And you know exactly what he's thinking. He's a kind of honest person. I don't want him to have to struggle with the massively nuanced and painful, difficult, horrible cultural entity that is the England captaincy as well. He'll be wincing in his sleep as well. Like, I just want to see a smiling Ben Stokes. Just let the wince go. And the captaincy, I think Joe Root may have had enough. He wants to do other things. He hinted that. I mean, I spoke to him before the tour, and there was a little bit of sense that he's got a few other ideas he wants to do. Why would you want to be England captain, really? Why?
Don't you think though, Barney, that so many of like England's systemic problems come into such sharp focus because of these, heavy defeat after heavy defeats that they're kind of feeling down here, when in 18 months' time we're just going to beat Edgbaston and one of Broad or Anderson, or maybe both, will still be playing and hooping a dark Duke's ball around corners, and everyone will be singing about England and playing Jerusalem, and Aggers will be on BBC, and everything will probably be fine. Harris will nick off, and the game will be close, and cricket will be alive.
Yeah, I mean, it's true. I mean, to be dying is the natural state of life of Test cricket, isn't it? It's always been dying. I'm sure they're having these conversations in 1873 about how we're going to keep this thing going. It's finished. I mean, it's called the Ashes. It's made out of death. It's made out of this thing dying, and we've been retailing that for. I mean, it is the natural state of things, and I'm sure Chris Woakes is going to be absolutely unstoppable 2 years from now. Australian cricket will be finished for good. But there is definitely it can't go on. It can't go on forever, can it? Can it? How much more can we squeeze out of this thing? There has to be some sense of life at some point, of something new. I just can't really see where that comes from.
India. Sorry.
Yeah.
They're doing terribly well, aren't they?
Yeah. I'm pretty sure Joe Root's going to go in the IPL auction this year, so I'm not surprised he doesn't want to captain England anymore.
Isn't the problem Test cricket faces? I mean, I always think this, that India haven't destroyed Test cricket. Why haven't they destroyed Test cricket? It's like one of those things in the movies where you think, why are you giving James Bond all these tests that he can do where he can sort of rescue? Why just kill him? Why are we saying no, Mr. Bond? We're in that phase. We're in the no, Mr. Bond phase. So if India decides to kill Test cricket, so we've had enough of this. We're propping you all up. We're keeping this thing going, and they still really are diligently, honestly playing these series. If Virat Kohli, whoever comes after Virat Kohli as India captain, is not interested in Test cricket and just we could probably fit a second IPL in, couldn't we? Then that's probably the thing that will get us through this kind of just hang on, Mr. Bond, 5 minutes more situation, which we're in at the moment. It's probably going to happen elsewhere, isn't it?
Is there anything fun to look forward to in Hobart, Barney? I mean, it looks like, I know a lot will change in the next probably 10 minutes, but Josh Butler's going to go home. Bairstow's probably got a broken thumb. Stokes has got his side strain. Mark Wood just got his front foot blown off by Pat Cummins. I don't even know if they've got enough players to play the game. Maybe Marcus Harris can open for England. I don't know. But is there? I mean, they're talking about Billings playing. Is there something to look forward to for England in Hobart?
Well, obviously, everyone looks forward to the 5 days of Sam Billings. I mean, it's just kind of perfectly groomed, perfectly. Even the chat's good, everything's good. I'll take Hobart just for 5 days. If Australia can just bat for a long time, so we get lots of Billings, that's fine. And I actually think he is perfectly set up to be a Test cricketer. It seems odd he's never really had a go like that. I mean, Hobart's a lovely place as well, isn't it? I mean, I wish I was there. I'd love to be in Hobart watching Billings keep wicket. And I mean, I think, is there still some doubt that game might go ahead? Is that right?
I don't know. It feels like every test match that's on, there's just grave predictions that the next one won't be on, or it will be in the financial heartland of Sydney or Melbourne, and then it just goes on. So I think now everyone's presuming that Hobart's good to go.
Yeah.
The lesson of this game is basically once you start playing it, you just absolutely lose whatever's going on. You know, Craig Overton's bowling off spin to whoever, whatever's happening, it's massively absorbing. It's the Ashes. It's still that same substance. And it will be brilliant. I mean, that's the kind of lesson of that last hour. I have to say, I mean, you know, Jimmy Anderson comes in and there's 12 balls to go, and none of them are bowled by a fast bowler. I mean, that's kind of the spirit of the village green coming in, saying that is essentially what saved England here. We'd be talking about, you know, Mitchell Stark's heroic, you know, first ball of the penultimate over that destroys Jimmy Anderson's stumps if it wasn't for a little bit of gentlemanliness from the umpires. But, you know, we'll take it. We'll take it. English cricket's back, baby. We're back.
And with that, Barney Ronay, thanks so much for joining us, mate, on a cool Sunday morning in the UK. People will be very happy to hear from you, and I can't agree more. Or less, actually. England's not back at all. Cheers, mate.
All right, cheers. See you guys.
The Asian century is all-encompassing.
Has an Indian Test team ever had a better year?
The Asian century is all-encompassing. The Asian century refers to the Asian century. India's conquering all before it. India's conquering all before it. The Asian century. India's conquering all before it. They're just winning heaps of shit. Two back.
In Mario Kart.
Two back.
In Mario Kart.
Two back to Kua. His vibe. His energy.
Mario Kart. The star.
Two back to Kua.
Mario Kart.
Boys, Yadav.
You get the star.
Takua.
Mario Kart.
Boys, Yadav.
Mario Kart star. That's what Shuttle Takua is. The star.
Boys, Yadav.
He gets his first bag and his first fifer. Is this guy the best guy that's ever played cricket?
Yeah. I mean, I don't think that's a controversial point.
Thank you very much to Mr. Ronay for his time on a Sunday morning, a sleepy Sunday morning. Pez, let's get into the Big Bash Roundup.
Yes, fucking finally.
Finally,
Let's
here
go.
we go, mate.
Yes.
Come on.
All right.
So the Perth Scorchers, mate, are leading the comp. The Thunder are second and the Sixers are third. The table is like all messed up because there's like, so the Scorchers have played 2 and 3 more games than other teams. In fact, they've actually played 6 more games than the Melbourne Stars. Melbourne Stars are last. They've played 6 less games than Perth. Zampa, friend of the show, Adam Zampa, is going to captain the Stars next game. He said that CA have taken the piss, inverted commas, out of the Melbourne Derby. They had 12 of the Stars players tested positive for COVID. It's now 13, but at the time 12. Couldn't play in their loss to the Renegades, the Melbourne Renegades, the big Melbourne Derby for the Big Bash League. But they went ahead with that game. Other games have been postponed, but not that one. So the entire comp has now been moved it's been relocated to a Victorian hub. While players and support staff from all teams will be based in Victoria for the remainder of the comp. There will be some matches played in other states in like a fly-in, a FIFO model. So there's that. And then some games which are starting in, what's the date say? The 10th. Some games starting this week are actually going to start at 10 a.m. There's like a couple of Sixers games start at 10 a.m. I think like
10 a.m. start. I'm happy with that.
10 a.m. start, relatable.
Yeah. Well, it's
actually 10:10.
Getting closer and closer to grade cricket.
I like yeah. What about like under sevens when you start like 7:30, sort of like a heavy like dew on the grass?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I always want to bowl first.
I hate that, like when like the wet grass gets on your shoes and it's
it's sliding on your shoes, but it does clean your shoys.
There is
if you've got dirty shoes, get on the wet grass there, clean them right up.
Yeah, get
nature's way of healing.
I think you got to say
your
like
shoes, your leather shoes.
You have to say
made in another country.
So you got leather. You got like a loafer on.
Yeah, I always wore loafers. Isn't that what everyone else wore?
Paying for the Gentry 11. You got to say like credit to CA and whoever's like putting all this together. It's like,
totally right.
To like make all these games.
Whoever's doing this
shit, like to actually get the competition going ahead. Like fair play. Like it's just, but it's getting pretty silly, isn't it? Like how much COVID is just running through all these camps. Like the idea that you can try and escape. I mean, even the test team.
Yeah.
How many COVID cases are in the? Well, there's no bubbles anymore, but I guess we're all just globally, not just in cricket circles, we're all just trying to figure out how to actually, inverted commas, live with the virus. I don't even know. I don't even know the answer, but I mean,
I'm turning on the TV and sometimes a colour is playing against another colour.
That's right.
And then, I'm doing my dishes and who's bowling. Oh, he looks all right.
And fundamentally, from what I've been told, from one insider.
Oh, yes, insider shit.
The same amount of people are watching the Big Bash as last year and the previous years. That's certainly not my experience. But
in your own ratings demographic, like
that's right.
Doing ratings on yourself.
That's right.
Same here.
So the season is meant to conclude on January 19, which is in 9 days from today.
Yeah.
And I can't see how that's going to happen, given that the Stars have got to play, I think, in that time about 12 games.
Yeah. It's double headers.
Couple of back-to-backs. They're doing it in baseball.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so they're going to announce their schedule for the remaining next few days. I mean, yeah, I got to say, like, there's so many ways. Every summer we come into like, how do we fix inverted commas the Big Bash? How do we get more people to the games? How do we do it? Oh, Ashes, people are going to be into that cricket more than ever. Omicron needed now.
And so somebody bought their pink seat for the Jane McGrath day, and then their name was Omicron needed now. Thank you for the donation.
Nice one. Anyway, that's what's happening in the Big Bash. I guess it doesn't really matter until what's happening in the finals. Daniel Sam's got 97 off like 45 balls. It's a clean seed. Settle did some shit. I don't know. There's games happening all the time, and
a couple of guys are like in squads where they can be farmed out to different teams. So Justin Avendano's played for like the Stars and the Sixers.
Yeah, right.
I think so. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, nice.
That's some league of their own shit.
Oh, I like
Racine
that. I like that. South Africa, India, Pez.
It's a clean ball too, Justin. Carry on. South Africa, India, right?
Mate. The third test starts on Wednesday, Cape Town, where nothing has ever gone wrong for Australia in Cape Town.
This reminds me. Can we say this on air? So we did a gig a few years ago, a private gig, and part of like it often happens, as is often happens at gigs. There's an auction or a silent auction or a live auction. This time there was a live auction, and it was in the months after Sandpaper, and
it was less than a year.
I don't know how this happened, but being auctioned off at this gig was a framed test shirt signed by the entire Australian side from the Cape Town test. And I think we felt at the time it would be inappropriate as kind of the entertainers of the gig. We weren't conducting the auction to bid for it. But looking back, that was dumb and weak. And we should have got that shirt. We should have got that shirt.
That is my single biggest regret.
Yeah, me too. Anyway. So, Cape Town test.
So, the third test, it's a decider. The series locked at 1-1 because after... that test starts on Wednesday, by the way. So, again, we're doing the dailies for that as well, on Patreon and on YouTube, however you want to consume it. South Africa had, in the words of Graham Smith, one of South African cricket's greatest ever test wins. They chased 243 on I think it was day 4. No, that was day 5. It was day 5. At the Wanderers there.
And only just got it in. Bit of rain around last day.
Yeah, they didn't start till 3:45 in the afternoon, local time there.
Hell of a chase. 243, what was it? 3 down? 4 down? 3 down?
3 down, yep. Dean Elgar hit 96. He got the job done there.
All the other innings were like 200 odd or something as well.
That's right.
Bit going on the deck.
That's right. I think the highest ever run chase the Wanderers is only... was there one that was 300? Anyway, it was up there. It was up there in like highest ever run chases the Wanderers, and they did good. Lots to like about South Africa. I can see Graham Smith's point about what happened in that series, and they lost the first Test match. Then Quinton de Kock retires from red ball cricket, who's also just had his first child. So congratulations to Quinny.
If you're listening,
he won't be listening to this shit.
Clip it up.
But mate, lots to like. Keegan Peterson. A bit of an under-19s prodigy, batting 3 for South Africa. He scored his first Test 50, got 60-odd. Looks sharp. Marco Jansen. I think I've been calling him Jansen, which is very Anglo and dumb. But I think it's Jansen. Hey, talk about some height. Left arm height.
Bit of height. Bit of tall stuff.
But the main highlight of the game was Rishabh Pant played one of the worst shots in Test history.
Game changes quick, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Absolutely destroyed us.
Yep.
And... now he's playing a couple of take the gas shots lately.
Yep.
Really?
Yep. So the final test starts on Wednesday. Will South Africa go with the same team? Didn't play a spinner, didn't play Maharaj. So I imagine he probably plays in Cape Town. But Jansen was batting at 7 in this game. They got Varane, the new wicketkeeper, batting at 6, who averages 50 in first class cricket. Not sure about that. So
you took one look at it.
It was like 52 in first class cricket. This bloke, clean gloves though. So, but the main conversation is about who's going to play for India. Now, Siraj has done a side.
Enough with the fucking South Africa stuff. Let's get into India. Kohli was out. He missed the last test.
Yeah, that's right.
Upper back spasms. They were short on runs. He'll come back in. Who for? Probably for Hari, who was the only adult in the room in that game.
Yeah, that's right.
But he will miss out because legacy shit.
Yeah, and then what about Siraj? Are you going to play Ishant or Boys Yadav?
Love boys, but Ishant's height and I don't know how to separate those two guys. You know, they always do a good job. I think Siraj is a big miss, a lot of energy. He's always bringing some red mist shit, which I think balances out a lot of pace in the Indian side, even though a lot of his stuff is how you're going and would attract the ire of many grade cricket sides. But I do think for balance reasons, you've got to have it.
Yeah, I think that's right. Well, anyway, let's tune in on Wednesday, the first test. So the daily would be the morning after that game. On YouTube or patreon.com. Pez, one thing that what happened last week in New Zealand and Bangladesh.
Oh, others are playing.
Was the last time we checked in was that Devon Conway scored 100 and we were just singing the praises. Well, that all went to shit. Bangladesh had possibly their greatest ever test win last week. So let's put this into context. Bangladesh are genuinely shit. They're without Taman Iqbal or Shakib Al Hassan. They lost 2-0 at home to Pakistan, including one of those games was heavily rain affected in Dhaka. It was like 2.5 days were washed out and they still lost one of those games, so they were getting pumped. You obviously remember in the T20 World Cup, which is a different code completely, but they did lose to Scotland in that T20 World Cup. They somehow still managed to qualify, and then they lost every game in that World Cup. New Zealand haven't lost a test at home for 17 games. They haven't won all those games, but they haven't lost a game at home for 17 games. They've won 8 of their last home series. That's Pakistan, West Indies twice, England twice, India,
Rick Finlay here.
Bangladesh, and Sri Lanka. I'm just setting up for how good
it's
New Zealand are at home.
Yeah.
So then Bangladesh go out and hit 458 in the first innings. They're giving them a lead of 130, and you're thinking, well, okay, was it a strong New Zealand team? Yeah, they're all playing. Southee, Bolt, Wagner, Jamo. Ajaz Patel didn't play. Even though he just got 10 for in the last game.
Is he bowling well at Patel? Or
I haven't actually seen.
How did he go in his last game?
I haven't seen much of that. Well, he didn't get man of the match, that's all I know. So then England got rolled for 169 in the third innings, and then Bangladesh chased them 2 down, 42 down. So, yeah, Kane isn't playing, but apart from that, it's a full-strength team. So this guy, Edibar Hussain, who started the game, funnily enough, with the worst test average for a bowler with more than test wickets in test cricket history, one of my favourite stats. He took 6 for 46 in the third innings. That's the first 6 for Bangladesh in more than 8 years. Best figures ever by a Bangladesh quick away from home. That is, I mean, it's match fixing, right?
It's a good setup. Fucking seriously gave me the fucking ABC of cricket to set that up to conclude that it was match fixing. We're not entitled. Hey,
what a result.
Mate, it's great to see a great test between nations that aren't, among the three that pool all the money.
Yeah.
And it's great to see away results that are interesting. And the interview that Hussein gave afterwards was very, very heartening. And it's strange for us in our rich, lofty heights to look down upon other test matches and fucking look at the skeletons there. And I will do that because I've got a second head that comes out on my shoulder.
Of course you do.
Or my neck, sort of in the side area there, off on an angle. Yeah, chiropractor. But yeah, brilliant stuff. And then we can see in the second test here that New Zealand have struck back pretty hard.
Yeah, that's right. So Bangladesh won the toss and they had a bowl.
Fuck.
Which is the most Australian thing ever.
Yeah, kept the momentum going.
That's right. We've got this.
Yeah, what happened when they kept the momentum going?
Well, I don't know what the score is right at this moment. Have you got it?
I've got it, yeah.
What's the score right now?
New Zealand have declared 6 for 521. Tom Latham, 252. And Devon Conway, Conway, 109.
Mate, Conway, another ton.
Tom Blundell, 57 not. And, your mate Hussein's 2 for 143 off 30 overs, going at 4.77.
Bowl without luck.
He bowled without luck. And Bangladesh are 1 for 11.
Okay.
That's day 2.
There was also a 7 scored of Will Young. Do you see this? I'm pretty sure people have seen this going around on the interwebs.
Yeah.
Will
it's
Young
kind of like Sheffield Shield cricket, like all the weird stuff gets most of the clicks.
That's right. That's right.
Most of the stuff. Yeah.
So Will Young nicked off to second slip, then went very close to going down to the boundary. Finally picked it up and threw it to the keeper, who then had a shot at the bowler's end. That went for 7. Great areas, which kind of sums up how this second test has gone anyway so far. But of course, next week we're reporting that Bangladesh have actually won the series 2-0. There'll be egg on our face. But you know what, mate? There's so many things to take away from this, in the fact that this is actually the third time New Zealand have played against Bangladesh since 2016. Like, in these series, they've won last 8 series at home. Pakistan, West Indies twice, England twice, India, Bangladesh, and Sri Lanka. Australia haven't gone there. When was the last time Australia went to... It was fucking Michael Clark playing?
Bangladesh?
No. When was the last time Australia played a test match in New Zealand? Was it when Clark broke up his
Steve
Dingle?
Smith. No, it was when Josh Hazelwood said who's the fucking third umpire.
Oh, yeah. Halcyon days.
It was 2016, I reckon. 2017.
Okay.
Early 2017, maybe.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's pretty
2016.
recent. What are you worried about?
5 years or so.
5 years ago.
Yeah, they have to get there once every half decade.
That's right. Yeah. That's right. Okay. On to significantly more sobering stuff, Pez, before we get into Nick Larkin. Russell Jackson of the ABC wrote a piece about Jamie Mitchell, who was an opening bat for the Australian youth team, which toured Sri Lanka and India in 1985, and there's allegations of sexual assault, but it goes beyond that. It's one of the most messed up things I've ever read. Do you want to talk about this somehow? Because it's a legal case.
These are funny things to talk about. I mean, for background to this, Russell Jackson is a writer par excellence. He won the Walkley last year, writing about sexual abuse in Australian rules in various places. A number of pieces in relation to that. He's done other excellent work on race relations. He's written heaps about cricket beforehand, and he's with the ABC now, and he's just written this, thorough, comprehensive, piercing story. You can tell it's excellently researched. It's long form, detailing the experience, as you said, Higgins, of Jamie Mitchell, where there's allegations of, I'm not sure what the correct words are, and that's relevant, but let's call it sexual impropriety on an under-19s tour that Jamie was involved in 1985, Sri Lanka and India. And it is well worth a read, although potentially triggering for people, because it's an astonishing and what's the word? Appalling and galling tale of goes beyond being irresponsible. It's very saddening, and it would be very maddening for people as well. And it's just interesting, it's a strange thing to, and it's a strange thing to speak about on a podcast because this is a live case now that is being investigated by the AFP. And one of my observations I just want to point out was that when Russell did all this excellent work in relation to Australian rules last year, writing, again, really comprehensive pieces that look to the untrained or just to the punter eye, has the ring of truth in the level and breadth of quotes and anecdotes that are in there. It was just interesting to observe that very little of the Australian rules sports media picked up and ran with that story. And also the AFL seemed to close ranks or close its doors around it. There's myriad complexity, myriad complex issues around these kinds of stories that probably lead the media, and let's just include ourselves in that, to want to steer clear because of legal implications while things are alive.
Yeah.
Nevertheless, I don't think it would be wrong to encourage people to read the story. But beyond that, it's going to be interesting to see how many other organisations with the legal heft that the ABC might have, and the willingness to give a journo time to explore a story might offer to this story as well to help uncover the truth, to find justice. We'll definitely be watching it closely. It's a very sobering read, but one that's well worth doing.
Can we even talk about the allegation? I mean, the allegation, right, is that the team doctor drugged Jamie and then he was raped while he's unconscious. Is that the? No,
it's the doctor's one person in the story, and then there's the coach as well. And I think it would just be better to read. I should have prepared the comments as well. But it's a story about irresponsibility. It's a story about sexual abuse. It's a story about how sexual abuse or alleged sexual abuse can rob people and rob individuals of their dreams and their lives afterwards. And it's very live now with Cricket Australia. Nick Hockley has made comments about it. Russell's followed up with a piece. There's certain redress that people can explore that Cricket Australia is trying to work out at the moment as well. Maybe that's putting it lightly. And you can probably tell by the clumsy attempt at precision with my words that it's a very serious thing, and it should be. I think people should read it.
Yeah. All right. Well, just to round off this segment, Pez, I was actually interested in the. We were sort of talking recently about like Test cricket and where it's going and stuff, and it's hard to escape this idea that maybe it's not dying, but it's becoming less important for players. And I actually noticed a couple of pieces on ESPN Cricket Info in the last couple of days about, Cricket South Africa aren't letting their contracted players play in the PSL this year. It's mainly because they've got sort of active tours going on the fringes of that tournament. So they didn't want their contracted players to leave, like to choose the PSL over playing for their country. And also Sri Lankan cricket are now mandating a 6-month period for players to be allowed to play in like domestic T10 and T20 leagues after they have retired. So like they're basically like losing talented players playing for their country because they want to go play domestic stuff. It's interesting that like these boards are trying to protect their assets, I suppose, is actually what's going on. But I don't know if that's going to be the case. I feel like we're living in this moment where Test cricket, there'll be less and less Test cricket over the years because all the money's being pulled for 3 countries. We're just talking there. Australia hasn't even gone to New Zealand in 5 years at best. So, I don't know. I thought that was interesting. But we're going to speak to Nick Larkin of the Melbourne Stars, one of the most affected teams of COVID in the history of all international sports. But before then, Pez, shall we thank our dear friends Budgie Smuggler?
Of course we shall. Of course we shall.
Yes.
Made any themes this week for custom design smugglers? I'll tell you what, it's a fucking beautiful day in Melbourne.
Glorious.
And we're just out of isolation.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, for my eldest child, I bought him for Christmas, I bought him a slip and slide.
Nice.
It's for him and the 1-year-old, but the 1-year-old ain't getting on it.
I'll give you as well.
This is what I'm saying.
Okay.
And I'll tell you what, the 3-year-old wasn't that sure about whatever the hell it was early on.
Oh, yeah?
You know? But
early doors?
what he needed was Dad in his North Sydney Bears budgies.
Yes.
sort of executing a few swan dives, etc., down the slip and slide. Maybe a bit
Slipping
of
and sliding
this is
those
old
DMs.
school, but a bit of Ben Tune with the hands wrapped around once you get the ball down, etc. And he started to like it. He warmed into it. Yeah, he doesn't wear the curtains of shame, that as in board shorts. My son also I make sure he wears budgie smugglers, but I wear the budgie smugglers as well. And look, it is the season for a slip and slide.
You got to lead from the front.
Yeah, exactly. I've got so many pairs of budgies now. I collected over 12 years, I would say.
Yeah.
But the most recent I like are the North Sydney Bears, which is just my tragic and beloved rugby league team.
Favourite sports team?
I've never really asked you what sort of budgies you could get if you could get any. I don't know, you would say the all-time alphas, which was a limited edition.
Oh, you took the words right out of my mouth.
Yeah, but I'm going to take that away from you.
Ah, okay. Any pair of budgies.
Any design on anything. Probably Acco.
Yeah.
It's sponsored product.
Yeah.
And wear an Acco
right.
bomber jacket. You think Linny appreciates another sponsor sliding into the budgie segment?
No, I don't think so.
No.
Any pair. What would I get? Wait, what about... Why did I just think about getting a pair of reflecting, like, glass budgies so just reflect the light into other people's eyes?
Oh, you just want to inflict pain on people.
That's right. Yeah, just draw the attention to the eyes, but also...
That'd be a good trick in the tubs if, like, people want to inspect the size of your penis, which is normally what happens. If you actually took your pants off and somehow you just had reflectors there, everyone, oh my God, fucking that penis is so big it's blinding me.
Yeah.
Actually, it was just reflecting budgies.
I don't know what's the design I'd really like. Maybe just some of my favourite albums.
Oh yeah.
I was thinking about that, Think about some of the favourite albums.
Yeah.
For me, my favourite album
of
all time is Kanye West's 2010,
right?
My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy.
Mm-hmm.
That's my favourite album of all time.
I tell you what, a mate of mine. There is some good designs there.
Mm-hmm.
A mate of mine on a group thread last night was sending through some Radiohead covers. Saying it's a good cover album, and he sent through one of their song "No Surprises," and like a dark song. And obviously the cover version just prompted me to want to listen to the original.
Of course.
Fuck, it's a tune, mate. Radiohead has some tunes. Happy to say that.
Yeah.
A big time.
Are people going to write in and be like, mate, Radiohead, what do you reckon?
Probably, mate. They're fucking right insane.
Yeah. Why are you wearing that?
Yeah, that's right. Why do you like that song?
Yeah.
It got a few spins this morning.
Yeah, Radiohead, yeah. I was actually late
No
to
surprises,
Radiohead.
and that's what I'd hope people would think.
OK Computer is a great album.
Budgiesmuggler.com. And finally, here goes.
Please.
Before we go to this interview, it's sponsored by T20 Stars, a new offer. And this is an interesting offer.
Mm-hmm.
Here goes.
Mm-hmm.
Let me read it to you. I've been given a rough script, but I actually want to stay authentic to the script.
Okay.
So let me read this out. Listen up. If you haven't been listening before, it's sort of just been rolling through your head for some reason for an hour 20.
Yeah.
T20 Stars, lady and gentlemen, are so confident that you will love their gloves and pads. And listen to this. They are offering a 30-day free trial with all gloves and pads from the junior and senior ranges. Okay. So I'm going to say that's the whole range.
Okay.
30-day free trial. Noting this just the way Watto batted. So this is an entrepreneurial thing from Watto.
Mm-hmm.
He liked to do things differently, and he's doing the same with his business and his product range with his T20 Stars business. You can test out the gloves and pads from junior and senior range for 30 days. And if you feel they're not the right fit or not what you're after, you can send them back for free and get a full refund.
What? You're talking about free trial of kit.
Free trial of kit.
What?
Free trial of Watto kit that Watto's hands have been all over.
All over it.
Those big old thick mitts from first slip. This would have to be... look, this is in the script, but I believe it's true.
Okay.
It'd be the only cricket brand offering this risk-free and worry-free trial.
I bet it is.
So
that's unbelievable.
Because they're cutting out the middle person, I believe you'd say.
Mm-hmm.
They're cutting out the big retail boys.
Mm-hmm.
And this is their way of saying to you, the caring about the customer, look, you don't get to touch them, feel them, or whatever. I'm going to circumvent the issue that you may think you've got about getting Cricket Kit online because you want to pick it up, all that. You want to go through that ritual of touching, feeling. Mate, they're letting you touch and feel and see it.
Yeah. Yep.
They're letting you have the kinesthetic awareness of the kit on your hands and your legs.
They're cutting out the they, thems. The he, she's.
Okay. And
the him, hers.
Exactly. They're cutting out all of that. And letting you feel. And if you don't like it, you can send it back. This business is onto something. You get.
I'm shook by this. I didn't know.
Look at us. We thought that was part of the ritual. You can make that part of the ritual.
Free trial.
30 days. Do what you like with it for 30 days.
Not bad, Pez.
Do what you like with it for 30 days.
It's not bad.
Have a look at it. Free trial, pads and gloves, junior and senior range.
Is there a code?
Not for this because it's free.
Yeah.
Understand?
See? That was a test.
Visit www.t20stars.com to order some of the best cricket products online.
All right, not bad. Nick Larkin, here he is.
Okay, the guy we're talking to today has 2,000 runs in 43 first-class games. He's got 4 tons, 8 50s. He's a mainstay at the Stars, who he's with now. He's played cricket for Ireland, according to Cricinfo, who don't normally lie about these things.
No, usually.
And he's and this is a quote that I got. He's one of the 3 best people that Ed Cowan has ever played cricket with, and Ed has played cricket with Kevin Peterson. So I'm talking about Nick Larkin. Nick Larkin, welcome finally to the grade cricketer.
I'm stoked, yeah. I've actually been accused of being the grade cricketer in the past, so I'm happy to meet you guys on face or digital face anyway. It's awesome.
Really? Let's deep dive that.
Can we just go straight into that?
What year was that?
This is many, many moons ago when you guys first started getting a bit racy on Twitter and stuff like that. And a friend of mine that I went to college with, he'd seen me play cricket and stuff, grade cricket for Sydney Uni, and he said, "You're not the grade cricketer by any chance, are you?" And I was like, "No, like I am a grade cricketer, but no, I'm not." I took it as a compliment, so there you go.
Thanks. That's kind of you to say. Well, look, it's been a while since I've been able to ask this authentically. I used to do it all the time. But, you know, what is your relationship to grade cricket?
A fairly strong one. I guess I lobbed down to Sydney as a country player in 2008 and ended up playing a lot of grade cricket before I debuted for New South Wales. So I played sort of 6 years of a mix of first and second grade before eventually debuting in first class cricket. So yeah, very strong relationship to grade cricket, and probably played I don't know, maybe close to 200 first grade games. So lots. Yeah. I love it. It's great.
Really? Wow. And you say, and you've got a very clean, like happy face as well when you say that. That must belong. Actually, there's a shadow cast over the one half of your face. So, and that's quite appropriate for grade cricket, you know? Like, yeah, because it has 2 faces at least. At least,
yeah. Look, I don't love all of it, but I don't think anyone loves all of cricket. Most of it's fielding, and most of fielding's terrible. Most of batting is watching other guys bat, which is also terrible. And I've never bowled, but I'm led to believe that that's quite painful. So cricket is misery, but like there are some good moments. I'm lucky I've got a really great club in Sydney, which I think makes all the difference to whether you ultimately enjoy it or not. So yeah, pretty lucky there.
Can you give some clubbies out there some hope, Nick? Because we just want to, like, we look at the TV and we think, I could do that. Of course we can't. But, like, are you a guy who's, you played 6 years for 1s and 2s, but have you played every grade as well? Is there a guy in 5th grade now who thinks if I just go hard for 5 years, I can play, you know, a couple of Big Bash games, which if Omicron keeps going, maybe they can, but...
I didn't play 5th grade, but I did debut in 4th grade when I moved to Sydney from the country. So... Okay. Yeah, maybe not 5s, but like 4s. There's definitely hope there.
Sorry, 5s. Yeah.
I often cop a bit of stick from my older brother. Was a much better cricketer than me, but he got stuck in 3rd grade. He calls it like, you know, like the sticky grade. He says it's where cricketers go to die. And he sort of got stuck there and stalled there. And I luckily skipped from 4s to 2s. Which, yeah, you know, maybe might have been the making or breaking of me as a cricketer.
Yeah. All right. Well, you've just said publicly that your brother, who's your brother? Like he's a better cricketer than you.
He was not anymore.
I mean, did he play first class cricket or?
No, he played a lot of first grade cricket. But he was, you know, he was my older brother. So like your whole childhood, you're sort of just trying to catch up to them and play as good as them. But I still remember the game where I thought, I think I'm finally better than him. It was a 2nd grade game at North Sydney, and we were opening the batting together. And he just like left a straight ball that hit him in front of middle stump. And he walked past me on his way off and he goes, "Did that do anything?" And I just said, "Nah." And I thought, this is it. I'm finally better than my brother.
Wow. Missing out at North Sydney number 2 as well. That's terrible. Sticking with grade cricket, and you're a first-class cricketer, but you're here. So can you explain the specific place of Sydney University in the Sydney grade cricket diaspora? Because as I see it, firstly, I want to know how somebody lands at Sydney University, given that it's got, by its name, no junior system or whatever. Like, what is it that leads somebody to Sydney Uni? Is it the kind of the desire for a more white-collared grade cricket experience or a more rounded experience? Are we looking for university scholarships? Are you tertiary-minded? Just run us through how you land at Sydney Uni and why.
I think from the outside looking in, everyone thinks it's like way more than what it is, the whole university. I think it's the same in every competition around the country, whether it's Adelaide Uni or Queensland Uni or blah, blah, blah. They're all hated for whatever reason because they go to uni and there's all these same jokes that get perpetuated all around the country.
Anti-intellectualism, rampant.
Yeah, exactly. No one's a smart guy in the cricket team. But anyway, I just followed that older brother that I talked about to Sydney Uni. He'd sort of just come down to Sydney the year before. Sydney Uni had this weird thing going on at the time where the guy who was the head coach, Matthew Phelps, who formerly played for New South Wales, was also the director of country cricket. So he sort of had like a foot in the door of what was going on in the country, and he happened to just be quite smart about it and recruit a bunch of good players from around sort of Newcastle and the North Coast and things like that. So a bunch of us all just lobbed down to Sydney Uni at the same time. They do have those things like, you're a good fit. You're going to university anyway. So, but ultimately I just followed my older brother down and ended up in the right place.
I remember one of your brother's innings, just got you on the show to talk about your brother, but Ben, he opened the batting in a second grade grand final in 2013. He got 150, and he faced 498 balls to basically bat Parramatta out of the final. I don't know if they had a stick that day, but yeah, he was a good player.
You've looked that up on.
Yeah, no, I remember it. I remember that.
Yeah. We're still gutted that he missed his 500 there because I don't think he'll get another chance. But yeah, I was actually at work because the grand final starts the Friday.
Yeah,
they won. He was captain. He won the toss. They batted, and I'm following it online at work, and I was like, man, he's scoring slowly. And he actually got to 100 and decelerated. And he batted the Parramatta guys. You still see them. A lot of them are still playing grade cricket. Some of them quit because they were so demoralised by this bloke facing 498 balls. But they still talk about it as though it was like the worst 2 days of their life.
You should have apologised, yeah. I want to know what your experience, Nick, was of like, when you were growing up watching professionals, I suppose, whether it be in Shield cricket or the Australian team, there was a real aggro to it, and it's still phasing out now. But when you come into the professional realm now, especially in the Big Bash, and especially at your team, the Stars now, there's so many great guys at the Stars. I'm talking about Stoinis or Zampa or or Maxwell, these kind of guys, actually really nice guys. Was your experience coming into the professional realm completely different to what you had envisaged or seen from the outside of what Australian professional cricket teams are?
My debut was against a pretty hardened Victorian side. So it was like, smack, there it is. That was hard. Those guys were veteran cricketers and from that grizzled generation of players. So that really sort of smacked me in the face at first. I was prepared, as prepared for something as you can be before it in terms of the mindset. And I still walked off after that game thinking, man, those guys went pretty hard. I think they meant some of that stuff.
Jesus.
Whereas
can you paint a picture of that? I mean, maybe you're too wise to say names or anything, but I mean that Victorian side was particularly well known for being let's call them euphemistically grizzled veterans,
hard cricketers.
Coats. But I mean, what is that? What's it like?
My Cricinfo link has a link to the scorecard, right? So you can look up that list of players, and I don't need to name them. One of them's the coach of the team I'm playing for at the moment, and the other one's Spoon. But they just played hard cricket where it's, they probably don't mean it, but they want to make you feel like you don't belong at this level. And that's just part of the game within the game. It happens in grade cricket as well. Oh, you'll be back to twos next week, mate. Same stuff, just they're talking about you're back to grade rather than you're back to first class, whatever. It's But that was a tough introduction to first class cricket. We had our asses handed to us on a platter. Dave Hussey made us look like we were bowling underarms. I think Stoyne even took the new ball for them. I can't remember the exact details, but it was like they took the mickey out of us properly, yeah.
And Scott Boland would have been the most vocal in that game because he took 6 for 67. I remember that. I didn't look that up.
I've actually felt this last couple of weeks, I've felt so much better about myself because Scott Boland is the guy who terrorised me the most. Just with his skill set in first class cricket, the way he bowls everyone describes a hard length or whatever that even means, but he actually bowls a hard length and it nips back in at you. And I've watched him terrorise these English batters. I'm like, you know what? That's okay. He's doing it to people in Test cricket as well. This guy is an absolute gun. I'm stoked to see that he got a chance to play because he's sort of been, a class above first class cricket at least for a while. And just the Aussies are so good, the bowling attack's so consistent that it's hard to get a crack in that team. So good on him.
I hadn't realised this, Nick. I just you've triggered the memory. I'm just looking up this team in this game that you debuted, and the team is Quiney, Stoinis, Dave Hussey, Wade, Hanscom, Christian, Tremaine. Hastings, Boland, Farwan. It's a pretty good team. And much chat up there.
Yeah.
It's funny. There's a bit of a good cop, bad cop thing with them because Rob Quiney, I don't know if you guys have spoken to him, but he's funny and he's sort of trying to be your mate and have some jokes and stuff like that out there. And then you got the bad cops, which is sort of the rest of them except Farwad.
Yeah.
But it was a pretty harsh introduction to first class cricket, but it's sort of good as well because it makes you realise, right, that's how it's going to be. Better level up pretty quickly.
Oh, and you've held your own as well, 4 tons, 850s as well. Yeah. I just know, but I mean, I think this is kind of following what Higgins has said as well, Nick, and as a compliment to you, you can obviously string words together, a Sydney Uni product, and you have interests that go beyond cricket. Unbelievable stuff. But and I notice, doing deep analysis into your Twitter timeline, you tweet things like YouTube clips explaining how the economic machine works, and you promote foundations supporting youth homelessness. And though it was admittedly 5 years ago, you pondered what Noam Chomsky would say about the player pay dispute, which it was 5 years ago. How rare a bloke are you considered in pro circles, and how does the economic machine work?
I'm still trying to figure out how the economic machine works. It's become way more complicated in the last 2 years, or it's been revealed. I can't decide which one. But, I actually love Twitter. And I think the pandemic is, it is actually revealed Twitter to be this brilliant learning. It's not just an entertainment tool, which is how you guys use it, but there's just some people who I've followed on that. And I love the fact that you can, I've tweeted a few people who I've just listened to their podcasts and stuff like that, and they just reply directly to you. I'm like, what do you mean you're replying to me? You're world-class, world-class money expert or world-class psychologist or whatever. And
great
it still blows my mind that you can sort of interact with people like that. Yeah. It's awesome.
I noticed, Nick, and I just want to keep going with this. Stoyne gave a great interview on The Final Word with Adam Collins and Jeff Lemon maybe a year and a bit ago, and it was a lot more wide-ranging than just his cricket. It was sort of about the man behind the man and his story, and there was just a line he said at the end that stuck with me about how cricketers of today, I'm sorry I'm paraphrasing, but today they talk about things beyond cricket. And I know Stoinis and Zampa and other guys, they joke about the Love Cafe or whatever, but he said this one line about how he and you talk about what it means to be a good man. And maybe this is what Higgins was picking up on before, We've talked about the old Victorian sides in the last generation, but do the players today, like yourself and whatnot, do they converse about things beyond cricket and maybe the kind of grade cricket conversations that we were having 15 years ago?
Definitely, but I think it's like any any team or squad or workplace that you're involved with. There's some people who you click with on a certain level and others that you don't. And some people that you only reveal a certain side of you to and others that you don't. And as you say, there's definitely an image that comes across with certain people because you get to know them as the player, not so much as the person. I would say Stoyan is a bit like an onion. There is layers to the big guy, but most people get caught up in the outer layer, which is like the tan and the muscle and all that stuff. But most guys, if you get to know them, know more than their cover drive or their leg grants or their bouncer or whatever. So yeah, definitely. And I think something like the Big Bash or the leagues around the world have probably changed the way that players interact because you just become mates with guys that you would have only ever known as adversaries in the past. So I think it's fantastic like that. And the league, if you go and play with a guy for 2 months and you're traveling around together and you're socializing together and getting to know each other, when you go back to play against them in a hardened first-class environment, you still want to beat them, but ultimately you know them as a person. So it's it just takes the air out of that contest a little bit, or the edge off it, I should say. Him, but I don't really want him to get hurt or his life to be a misery or anything like that. So I think the club environment of the Big Bash and maybe the nature of 2020 league cricket around the world now probably has added to that a bit. But yeah, guys, these are all people as well. These are all people.
You're all just entertainment products to us. I turn the TV on, that's your life, and then I turn it off, and I don't really mind. No, I'm kidding. Yeah. Nick, speaking of knowing about things outside cricket, my understanding is again through deep analysis that you're very big on cryptocurrency. Crypto versus, is it fiat? I don't know what we're talking about here. I know a lot of pro sports guys are into this. I mean, we're getting approaches from people telling us to turn our tweets into NFTs. I mean, can you and so just leaving it? Should we be exploring? Should TGC be exploring our tweets as NFTs or what?
Look, the whole NFT thing, I'm a bit like, who knows? But like the Bitcoin thing, I'm going to try and orange pill, as they say in the industry, your audience right now. So, this whole last 2 years, I wouldn't say I've spent 2 years down the Bitcoin rabbit hole, but with an increased amount of time, say through chunks of being stuck in a room or not being able to go places, like listening to different podcasts, reading different things, sort of wondering, ultimately trying to ask myself the question, what is money? And there's actually a great podcast out there called The What Is Money Show by Robert Breedlove, who is one of the guys who replied to one of my tweets. So boom. So go Bitcoin. There's actually a bit of Bitcoin movement in the Stars camp. Your Coulter Niles of the world, your Stoinuses, Zampas, Cartwrights. So I'm consider me orange peeling your audience right now.
What does that mean? What does it mean to orange pill?
Because how like the Bitcoin labels like orange.
Oh, right.
They just say like, you've been orange pilled once you're in on Bitcoin, or you're sort of trying to get your head around understanding the purpose of it, I guess. Without sounding like too much of a nerd to you. I still want your audience to think of me as like an athletic sports person. So I don't want to sound too much of a nerd here. Yeah.
Who was the nerd guy you guys had on? Talking about Bitcoin and oranges and stuff?
David Hussey.
They were talking. That's right. Yeah, Hussey, and he's more of a Dogecoin guy. We're talking before about being a nice person and stuff. But let's talk about your cover drive. I want to know like how much better you get as a player when you enter the professional realm. Like, because there are all around the country, every city with Premier Cricket. There's guys who dominate first grade or have really good records in first grade, but then they play a second 11 game. Maybe they play 4 or 5 second 11 games, and they can't quite replicate what they do, even though they're playing against broadly the same players, same quality of players. But then some guys get into the system and turn professional, and then they are exponentially better players because they are full-time cricket and they're around better players, better environment, whatever. Did you experience that when you got into the system, that you became a significantly better player?
I think I improved in some ways and probably was the same in other ways. I think the initial experience is, I'm a professional cricketer now. I need to practice all day.
Mm.
So I think I ended up just over practicing a lot with no real purpose to it. When I look back on it, I think, oh, what a waste of energy some of that crap was. Whereas other guys, you know, would really, maybe they click with a coach or a batting coach, or suddenly they've got all the resources and the time to put towards it. So I actually think, and I was lucky that my club always was pretty well resourced in terms of having decent coaches and facilities. So I probably didn't need to train any more than I did. And then just suddenly, oh, you're a pro. I felt guilty when I wasn't training. And then I sort of come full circle now on that. I'm like, oh, you just end up tired and sort of making mountains out of molehills sometimes. So, yeah, I think it can work differently for different guys. Some guys put, you know, I certainly put first-class cricket up on a pedestal when I first started playing because you've been trying to, you know, pursue it. It's your dream, I guess, to go and play. Even sometimes to get a Sec 11 berth can just take years and years and years of graft in grade cricket. You get the berth and you heap so much pressure on yourself to succeed. Whereas, as you say, you're probably playing on a better batting wicket against arguably similar bowlers because, you know, they're the equivalent of the best grade cricketers from another state. So I think a lot of it's just how you deal with the mental side of it. And I think some guys just have the beautiful mind. The beautiful batter's mind for me is the mind that doesn't think. It's a non-thinking brain, whereas the analytical brain can be really helpful at times, but a real disaster at other times because you just tend to overthink everything and forget it's just a bloody cricket ball, for God's sake.
Yeah.
Have you had to work on that yourself as somebody who's clearly got an excellent intellect? Like, one of my observations of interviewing like pro cricketers over like 4 or 5 years is that you can't draw too many connections about all of them. But one thing I think you can say about pro sports people is that they tend to have this incredible clarity of mind, regardless of their intellect or whatever they achieved at school or whatever. And I say you speaking really clearly about stuff as well. Have you had to work on developing that clarity of mind and putting things in perspective as somebody who clearly has other interests and things that you think about? You're probably an analytical person. I mean, how have you managed that process?
It's like learning not to think is how I try and describe it to like other batters or who I see that just have the same kind of mind as me, which happens to be heaps of the guys I play cricket with at Sydney Uni anyway. I'm like, no, this is like, I've got your style of mind. Don't overthink this. So it's almost just like getting to know your own style of thinking a bit. I think some guys who have the less analytical mind maybe just need a really good coach around them who can sort of, they're so gifted, some of these guys are so gifted in terms of their hand and their eye and their skill that they sort of just need to be pushed in the right direction. And just almost be like told what to do, and then they're just this physical vessel to execute what a coach wants. Whereas a coach for me would be someone who can just be like, hey, just don't think about it, mate. Just like actually just trust that you're better than what you probably think you are and go and just watch the ball because you've put the work in. Don't turn that into something that it's not. So I've bumped into a few coaches across my time who have been excellent like that. They just sort of get the difference between this style of person and this style of person, and that you got to almost coach them differently. So there's definitely, I just consider it broadly. I'm sure there's more, but 2 categories of player, like the thinker, tinker, stinker, which is me. You know, you think, so you think you're a thinker, you start to tinker, you have a stinker. That's sort of how I think about it. And then you've got like the beautiful mind over here, which is just like, see the cricket ball, hit the cricket ball. And it never becomes more complicated than that.
Yeah. I'm still thinking about being orange peeled before.
Like with a peeler as well.
Yeah. I'll be thinking about that all day and buying Bitcoin after this. Just turn to current issues or matters. Nick, the big bash is, I guess, going ahead. You guys have played 6 less games than the top of the table Perth Scorchers. I think that's right. What's going to happen for the rest of the series? Like, are you guys expecting to play every game? Because you've got to catch up like 9 games in 4 days. So how does that work?
We got sent the schedule yesterday and it's pretty bonkers. I guess for what you're used to, which is sort of play a few days off, play, maybe maybe a period where you get 4 or 5 days off. We've got 5-day games in 7 days.
Wow.
Like we play tonight and then 2 o'clock tomorrow. So it's almost like go to bed, wake up, go to the next game. It'll be hectic, but I think we've sort of just realised that the show must go on at all costs. As as long as there's people running around in coloured clothes, and ideally they're mostly ideally they're people who we originally had on our list at the start of the tournament. But if not, well, so be it. So yeah. I'm just sort of not thinking, which is hard. I'm one of the thinker people that I was describing. So I've decided I'm not going to think about it. I'm just going to turn up when there's a game scheduled and try and watch the ball and hit it. And that's me for the next week. And at the end of the week, we'll either know if we're in the finals or not.
That's what they want from you, man. They want you to switch off so you don't think. You just hit the ball.
Yeah.
Shut up and dribble stuff. As an economically minded guy, Nick, who has played red ball cricket for New South Wales and now plays in the BBL as well, is your how do you manage your cricket career, balancing those two things? I know it's a little bit of a cliched question. I'm sure you've got dreams in all sorts of places and whatnot. Is that difficult? How do you think through that to the best of your ability?
In terms of the white ball, red ball thing, like it's not such an issue for me this year because I haven't been playing for New South Wales. But I always struggled. I felt like I played really well the first half of the Shield season, go away, play some good white ball cricket, come back and not be able to play good red ball cricket at the end of it. So like it seems as though, like I found it really hard personally going back from a couple of months of trying to hit, stop leaving balls outside off stump and start trying to hit the ball a fair bit harder. And there's almost 2 different techniques sometimes to how you go about hitting, approaching the game, like timing versus power hitting. And I always struggled to bring them back together. So yeah, I'm probably not the best guy to ask. There's some guys who seem to do it pretty, maybe they're the non-thinkers that just able to cruise back between formats pretty easily. But I think they're the exception, not the rule, to be honest. I think most guys battle going between one and the other.
Nick, you've given us more time than I asked for. Thank you. And I know you've probably got to go and play the game and watch the ball and train and that kind of thing. So I really appreciate it. Love to catch up with you again, especially if we're able to do it in person and learn more about Bitcoin and all else.
Yeah, well, check out Robert Breedlove on Twitter in the meantime. Maybe you guys can get around him. He's got a blue tick as well. So if I haven't orange pilled you guys, which I think I've done a pretty bad job at, he definitely will.
Nick Larkin, thanks so much.
Thanks, guys. Cheers.
All right, thank you very much, Nick Larkin. There. Manscapers, manscaped.com, user code TGC for 20% off and free shipping.
Look, here goes. The ball is officially dropped on 2022, but you don't have to drop the ball on your balls.
Finally.
It's time you bring sexy back in 2022 and step up your game with Manscaped's Performance Package 4.0. Using the code TGC for 20% off plus free shipping. We've already talked about how it's all the trappings for the eyes and it's well presented and all that kind of gear. Yeah. I've just spent a week in ISO, and I tell you what, like for anyone who's going to do that, and it feels like you either have or you're about to, anywhere around the world.
That's right.
You want to keep your respect up for yourself. I've learned that the hard way. I learned that the hard way vis-a-vis food consumption. And sleep, etc. First few days, you sort of want to treat yourself because you're like, I'm in ISO.
What makes me feel good?
Let's let it all hang out. But after a few days, you want to sort yourself out, and a Manscaped product can be part of that. A Manscaped product can be part of your rejuvenation from isolation.
That's a great sell.
Yeah?
That's a great sell.
What about this for a sell? It's time to ramp up your exercise and grooming routine this year for maximum gains. A six-pack is a great New Year's resolution, but how about a six-pack for your balls? Never get tired of saying that. Whether you want a six-pack for your balls, and now I'm imagining a defined six-pack on my testicles.
Me too.
I've never thought I wanted that. Or it's about just helping yourself through ISO or post-ISO, whatever it is for you. Performance Package 4.0. It's the comprehensive approach. You're going to get the actual shaver, thing, clipper, whatever you fucking call it here, and all the trappings around it, your crop preserver, your ball deodorant, some shit for your feet, whatever you want. That the whole thing is going to be pampered and ready. Right, just look after yourself in ISO and beyond.
Pampered.
That's what I'm saying. You just everything. You just want everything. You just want to lift it up a little bit, just a little. I'm not saying you got to get into consumption culture of needing to look good at all costs and all times or whatever. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying, just be dignified down there. Make sure you got a little bit of a regime at a base level.
I like that.
You know what I'm saying?
Oh, big time.
I'm not saying it has to look. I'm not saying it has to be 6-pack or whatever. But just make sure you. Having got the Manscaped,
yeah,
I feel sorted out down there now.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize that I wasn't until that point. I mean, I was enough, but it's new, it's fucking clean, it's easy to do. Manscaped 4.0, 20% off plus free shipping. TGC, manscaped.com. You're gonna get 20% off.
Hashtag AskTGC, as we've said many times in the past. Patreon.com/Grade Cricketer. You can get hashtag AskTGC Fridays as well as the dailies for our Ashes reviews at the end of day's play and also South Africa India dailies as well. Here's what we spoke about last time on hashtag AskTGC Fridays. Hashtag AskTGC Fridays.
Oh, shit. This is a fucking job for the AFP, this bloke. It's this line. I don't see anything wrong with finding joy in standing in the sun for the day, not looking at screen/social media, chatting shit with your mates. But when the moment comes, having full focus on the play and being ready to stop anything. I mean, where do you start with that sentence? Like,
hashtag AskTGC Fridays at patreon.com/Great Cricketer. Let's get into this week's hashtag AskTGC Prez from Mark Willis. And he starts, to the late, great Pesman Tutu, and I presume he's going to go for Socrates. So how would I say that? Higocrates. Pesman Tutu and Higocrates. Bye! Happy New Year to you. Or is it? As I'm sure you two gentlemen are already aware, the Asian century is now actually in control of time. Yes, as it tightens its grip on cricket. Is it time to accept the New World Order and as such view our whole existence through the prism of the Chinese calendar? So I implore you to throw out War, Ponting, Kardashian and all other old gods of the West and say hello to our new titanic deity that is the Asian century. And I'll tell you why. 2021 was the year of the ox, a notoriously strong animal with broad shoulders and enviable chest. It might not be the most skillful, but it is an indisputable alpha of the animal kingdom. So it should have come as no surprise that Australia's brash and alpha brand of T20 World Cup cricket dealt with all comers and their weak analytical matchup shit. Save that for the year of the rat, you fuckwits. Australia even had a bovine middle order bat in the bison. How did we not see this coming, for fuck's sake? I am reliably informed by Reddit that oxen are also good at winning coin tosses, but the luck didn't start there. Don't forget this tournament was originally meant to be played in 2020 outside the realm of the ox and geographically outside of Asia. Mitch Marsh must have been fucking elated when he heard there was a global pandemic brewing to delay the tournament. Even when the Asian sides don't win, they are still in control of every worldly happening. But the mythically ox-powered Australians didn't finish there. The well-pictorially endowed thoroughbreds of Cummins, Stark and Bush Horse Hazelwood have also told England to fuck off in the Ashes. With Omicron rampant in England in scenes akin to World War Z, enduring nights without sleep due to chest pain must be commonplace. And even when they're well, they cannot escape their searing lungs and insomnia because they've got no fucking bats and they're subjected to shithouse commentary. But this is by far, this is far bigger than the struggles of one nation. With the unstoppable force of the Asian century rolling on into command of the space-time continuum, I'm afraid. I am afraid. Will there be no limits to the powers of the Asian century, with 2022 welcoming in the weapons-grade threatening aura of the year of the tiger? Could the Asian century conquer fear itself, and through this govern us all? Bangladesh beating New Zealand must just amuse Bush? This is some iRobot shit. Fuck. Now I regret getting my vaccines. Is Pat Cummins the Will Smith of this scenario? Please help me navigate the choppy waters of the inevitable. Cheers, Willow.
Oh, hey, Willow, great piece. And I think that...
How's a piece on it?
We should... Well, let us know, Willow. I think we should take that as something to be explored over time, in the same way that many will argue that the Asian century hasn't yet been realised. And because I think Willow's asked as big a question as ever been asked.
Yeah,
on
big questions.
Like on this podcast, in this entire universe. Like,
yeah, we've covered some big stuff.
I don't know how to navigate those choppy waters just yet, other than like I'm watching it, and I think introducing the Chinese years. What do you call them again? The I've got the wrong.
Like the animal names for the years.
Yeah,
I don't know what that's called.
Oh shit! I just had it anyway. That's a really good introduction to the way we talk about what's going to happen, what happened last year, what's going to happen this year. I never thought about Australia winning the T20 World Cup because it was the year of the ox and their 4 chests.
Yeah, I didn't
what
realise
year
that.
is 2022? What
Tiger.
is it? Okay, so Bangladesh.
Well, he said with 2022 welcoming in the weapons grade threatening aura of the year of the tiger.
Tiger.
Could the Asian century? Yeah, well, it's Bangladesh shit.
Yeah, and that's Asian century shit as well.
Exactly.
And they've just beaten he's got it all. Yeah. Hey, I think we need to take it on like notice and to kind of build this out. I'm never ever going to try and give Willow or anybody else any kind of comfort.
That's not what the show is.
Other than to say, like, as Paul Keating suggested, that we embrace the Asian century. Australia's more in Asia than anywhere else.
Yeah.
Just to a point, though, and then we can kind of rest on our Anglo friends when we need to do that.
That's
and
right.
Get caught in the middle a little bit. And, my lecturer was right in 2003.
I would suggest Western Australia should be very careful about their plan to secede because that would mean that they have no military to defend themselves when China then
Cameron Green
packs up that land. That's a good point. How
and
big
Justin
is he?
Langer.
How tall is he, do you reckon?
Militarily speaking.
He looks big at gully.
Weapons grade.
He looked big when he was on his knees as that speak pipe came in from that young lady.
Do you ever look at his face on camera
Never seen his face.
And go, you know what, when he's captain in 10 years' time, his face is going to look because as a captain, he's going to look chiseled and we'll know the face
That's
really
right.
well. But
Probably a bit of a beard.
But we're going to look back at the face now and go, oh, it's a bit of a baby face,
Yeah.
isn't it?
Oh, look how young he looks.
Yeah, he looks really young.
Yeah.
Still got a little bit of that stuff around the cheeks. So that'll be hollowed out.
That was back when he had both arms. Something's going to happen. There you go. That's something to lead into the fifth
Cameron
and
Green's-
final test match.
Cameron Green's gonna lose his
Something's
arms.
going to happen, and Cameron Green's going to lose an arm. Jesus Christ. Hey, hell of a show. Thanks to Nick. Thank you to Barney. Thank you to you guys out there. See you guys on Patreon during the week or YouTube or wherever the fuck we're going to be next. 4-0, fuck off.
The grade cricketer is a Twitter stream. It's about playing cricket at the grade level.
Boys!
Get a few today, did you?
To be honest with you, I hate grade cricket.
I went into to play for a team called the name escaped me.
Obviously, sharing's always a big issue for young kids coming into a senior cricket team.
I think it was like a women's league.
A bit of advice to the player. That's all I want.
I refer to the great cricketer here and I'll say, this'll do a little bit early.